This is Margaret Lee, Special People and Places. We are at the Bankhead House and Heritage Center, downtown Jasper, Alabama. And I have with me here Barbara Metters, and she is the
coordinator of the Bankhead House and Heritage Center.
All right, Barbara. How long will this exhibit be here?
Well, it started in June, and we're going to go all the way through September 29.
All right, and the hours of operation again?
Hours are Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4, and every third Saturday, 10 to 2.
All right, we'll be sure and show an outside shot of the house so people know when they see it. And tell us about the permanent exhibit.
Well, we also have the Walker County room, which is all historical facts about Walker County. We have the military room. And it's dedicated to the men and women who provided service from Walker County in the military. And then we have the fabulous Tallulah Darling room. So anything and all things about Tallulah is up there.
Oh, one great exhibit while you're here. You don't want to miss those things.
No, you don't. Absolutely.
But today, the Weltons are going to show me a little bit, and so everyone can see a glimpse of what's here from Winston County.
It's wonderful. It's been a great partnership with the Winston County Arts Council and the Bankhead House and Heritage Center. And of course, this is all provided through the Walker Area Community Foundation. And we are just honored to have this exhibit here.
Oh my, we were just honored for all the work you do and to have this wonderful venue here.
It's fabulous. We like to call this place the people's home. Any and everyone is welcome here. If you have a larger tour group, we would like to make a reservation. It's all free of charge, and that's 302-0001, and you can ask for me, Barbara Metters. And our next exhibit that will be showing is Walker 24/7, and this one is the holiday edition. So we're real excited. These photographs were taken last Christmas holiday, and then we're very excited in January we will be having another Smithsonian exhibit. We have been one of 6 chosen cities in the state to receive it, and it's called Waterways. And we are going to tie that to Smith Lake, Warrior River, Black Rock, Lost Creek, Town Creek, and all the other tributaries here.
That sounds so good. We'll be looking forward to that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Margaret.
Oh, that's exciting.
But this is an example of Sandra Heaven's work. She is one of our main potters. But Sandra has some beautiful work in here, and this is interesting to me because these are 2 of our students that...
Oh, the little boxes.
Yes. But these are 2 high school students that I think did a very fine job.
Oh, they did. The way they fit the tops on those.
They found a niche for them in the art and themselves in the art field. So
that's William Graves and Evan Grace.
And we have classes for adults in the community twice a week, also, which is a wonderful
That's something to remember too.
Right, and they can call on our Facebook. There's information about. It's Winston County Arts, and there's information about classes and other things that we offer. We have concerts during the year. Again, we'd like to raise money, but our goal is to support the arts in Winston County.
He did the book, Rick Hall, involved with the Muscle Shoals Sound. He did that book.
I was talking about this yesterday at the coffee shop with a gal just read the book. And she was talking about Rick Hall and the Muscle Shoals Sound. I can't believe this coincidence.
Yes.
Supposedly a great book.
11 of his books, and I gave them as gifts.
Wow.
2 years ago.
I got to get one.
Hostess gifts, I took up north.
I think I will do that too.
Reunion, and they're wonderful gifts because you get the DVD inside.
Yeah, and every musician that you've ever heard of, I think, in the modern times has been to Muscle Shoals.
I didn't realize it, but Sherm Smith said that it is the only studio in the country that has been in continuous use since 1957. He said these world-class musicians just came up out of the woods.
Yeah, we should have, one of the reasons the Women's Club wanted to renovate the park, Hamner Park in Arley, is because we wanted to build a gazebo, which we have done, and invite musicians to come casually on the afternoons, and I hope we can do that this fall, and just play together.
Just jam sessions.
We have high school kids that play such mean banjos and fiddles. And this is Ellen Moran from ARLEY. So if you ever want to see Ellen Moran's work, Tiny Baubles.
Well, they are beautiful and very dainty. Beautiful work. Oh, what about this?
Well, this is a scene from inside the Bankhead Forest. It's called Old Pine Torch Church.
I've heard of it.
Well, we saw it, and I wanted to know, what does the pine torch mean? And as it turns out, the people, to find their way home in the dark after the services, would take sticks of pine and use them as a torch. It would take a while for it to burn out, and so they would just walk their way home, find their way with their pine torch. So they named the church. And this, the woman who painted this, it's on a tin top of a sewing cabinet. So I think it's well done, and it's just a good example of using what you have to make art.
Well, it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
This connects with the history of Winston County in a big way, because this is the oldest, a replica depiction of a log cabin jail in Houston. It's the only surviving log jail in North Alabama. And it's on display. It's open, just an open door all day long, and you can go in and see how it's constructed inside. It's been restored and renovated, and so it's...
And have lunch at Chef Troy's or dinner.
It's in Houston, Alabama, which is between Arley and Double Springs. They have horseshoe nails nailed very close together to discourage any of the prisoners from sawing through and making an escape. So, but the little doors and windows can open, and it's very well done. And
And we have, of course, we have video. Yeah, we've done lots of things there. The monument dedications and that kind of thing. But the gospel music fans will know that the Spear family is from Houston, Alabama. They come every year to Houston Baptist Church. And right where Chef Troy has his restaurant, there used to be a large open air kind of shelter there where they met for singings in the summertime. So the famous Spear Quartet came out of there. And great history. Of course, the last one is gone now. And we have a memorial to her, Rosanelle Spear Powell.
this is an example of what some of our high school students do. Because we looked up and saw the ceiling, one of the students said, "Those are ugly tiles. Can we not paint them?" So we said, "Sure."
Let me get on this side, Larry.
So we used acrylic paints for durability. They're very old and crumbling, but they were able to draw their own designs using Mexican folk art as an inspiration. We have about, everyone is different, and the students spent a while doing this, but I think they came out so beautiful, and they make the art room look wonderful. And it's a very old room, but we're happy to have it, and this perks it up. So this is an example of some of the quality of the work our students can do. And we have a hallway with other student art from other schools also. Not just Meek, but that's sort of like our headquarters.
Aren't you, it has to be so worthwhile and fulfilling for you to see what they can do. Aren't you continually surprised?
Sometimes I'm so blown away, especially with the elementary schools. Look at this. This is work from first graders who made these fabulous fish just using markers. No pencils. They never ask to erase. They are a wonderful age group to teach because they're so confident. Would you like to draw a fish? Sure. Would you like to draw the Statue of Liberty? Why not? I mean, they never say, "I can't do that." So we encourage that from a very early age, that they are artists and they can do this. They don't ever doubt it. But I love the fact that not once has any child asked to erase. Because we teach them to make their mistakes work for them, for one thing, and to use as much color as they'd like. And then we show them different techniques like using the side of a chalk pastel or an oil pastel to make some texture in the background. And then we also teach them about different sizes of bubbles and what would grow in the water. And our students all learn about Alabama, everything Alabama. So over here is an example of fourth graders drawing camellias, which is the state flower. And they use colored pencils. Some chose not to fill in, others chose to shade. You can see that they each learn the lesson, but they're all different. And I love this example because I think they will always remember the camellia. We do that with the state insect. Do you know what the state insect is?
No.
It's the monarch butterfly.
Oh, my.
I thought that would be the state butterfly, but the eastern swallowtail butterfly is our state butterfly, the black and yellow, tiger swallowtail. And so the students make those different examples of their work. And so this is work from Meek and Lynn Elementary. And this, again, is an example of students learning a new technique. These two, it's called wax resist. I was teaching about reflection of water on the lake and how to get that effect. So white crayon in organic shapes covered with blue-green watercolor is a resist. So they learn a little bit of science. What do you mean? Wax and oil don't mix with water. Okay, we get it. And then little snorkelers just to celebrate summer, using bits of a straw.
Oh, that's cute. How many elementary schools in Winston County, Blythe?
There are 4. Lynn and Double Springs Elementary, Meek Elementary, and Addison. And there's 1 middle school in Double Springs, and there are 4 high schools. Okay. But the high schools, the other high schools, of course, have students from 7 through 12, but there's no facilities, only 1 facility in the county for a dedicated middle school. Okay. And they go from 5th through 8th. This is my work right there. Okay. This is
Blythe, you have your own work here.
Well, I've always enjoyed doing this. This is called an off-loom weaving because I love the textures and the colors of hand-spun, hand-dyed yarns, and some synthetics are fun to work with. So I just make a loom on cardboard, and I've taught the students to do this too. And they hang beads and other found objects on them. Some of them like to do Alabama colors, others Auburn colors, but they make it just their own. But this is just an example of what you can do with yarns and a piece of cardboard and some tough yarn for a warp. And it's just under, over, and you just keep doing it and pulling stuff out and separating things with your fingers. It's just
do that sometime with you, Blythe. I like that.
It's nice therapy, but it's also, I see these for sale on eBay and Etsy. It seems like the market's coming. And this is one of the oldest.
We just saw this last year at the art exhibit.
But this is fun for kids because it teaches them some of the different elements of art. And it's one of the oldest skills known to mankind because they could see that the fibers from different plants could make a garment if they wove it in between their fingers. So this weaving is a very old art form. But we also
makes a beautiful wall hanging.
I have had very large. I even made a lampshade out of that once. People make purses out of them. So this is a little bit of an example of the art of literature that's alive and well in Winston County. We have a number of artists here who've written history books. Dr. Don Dodd, many people call him the historian of the county. He's written an Alabama textbook along with this wonderful, The Free State of Winston, for people that it's a pictorial history primarily. But this is another one of his. It's called An Antebellum and Civil War History of a Hill County in North Alabama. And then, of course, there's Tories of the Hills that covers the same history we're talking about in the beginning. But this is Charlie Seaford's beautiful photo essay book, Alabama Canyons, that's only about the Bankhead.
Bankhead Forest.
Yes, and Alabama Outdoors covers other beautiful places in Alabama that Charlie has been to and photographed. So he has a number of books, and if anyone's interested in some fabulous photography, but in the Bankhead book, he tells you how to find the hiking trails. And he only has a few left of these, but...
Okay, so those are great coffee table
Oh,
books.
they are, and they're great gifts, too. Now, over here, this is an interesting exhibit because the art of pottery continues here, and the woman that made this blue one, that's the first thing she ever made. And her husband shot that deer, so she's using found antlers to decorate her pottery work, so I think it worked out very well.
And that's Sheila Blackwood.
Sheila Blackwood, right. She lives in Arley. And this is Diane Sharon, our other second professional potter. She's using the antler also. But it shows how you can make a vase using a slab of clay. You do not have to work on the wheel to make a beautiful piece of pottery. So Sandra prefers the wheel and Diane prefers the slab work. But then there's another artist in Winston County and Double Springs, and her name is Dot Tuggle, and she does a variety of media and a variety of subjects. She just has lots of interest. And this is Charlotte Pickens, whom I mentioned earlier, and this is Charlotte's beautiful work on rug hooking. Now, Charlotte buys old pieces of wool different garments in thrift shops, and she has a slicer that slices wool into tiny pieces after she's dyed it.
It looks like needlepoint.
Well, it's like rug hooking. These are the tools she uses, and she has like a burlap linen, fine linen canvas, and the applique she works. She's very talented herself.
Charlotte Pickens.
That was her quilt, Grandmother's Garden of Flowers. Okay. Yeah. So there's one artist we haven't covered yet. Right. This is an example of work by Double Springs artist Rhonda Glenn, who works in oils. Rhonda has been a teacher of students in Double Springs High School. She has brought oils to them, and some of her students have won awards already in state competitions. So we're grateful that Rhonda takes time to help our students learn the skill of oil painting. But this is one of the few portraits that she's done. But she teaches at the Bob Ross method. She'll teach at Hobby Lobby sometimes, or she takes students. But it says that maybe she was born with a crayon in her hand. But she loves to see her students succeed, and she gives them all kinds of help. She has been, like I say, helping the Arts Council for a number of years, so we're very glad. She does work in watercolors and acrylics, but I think her love is oil primarily because it blends so well. And she really enjoys that. Right. I love this photograph up here because this is from longtime resident Bill Snoddy, who owns Loblolly Farm in Double Springs. And where would you think, this looks to me like a scene from Japan, but this is, Bill built this and part of his property. And photography is a hobby for him. His career, he was a NASA engineer. And he worked at the Redstone Arsenal with Werner von Braun. So photography really is a relaxing hobby for him. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
This is an example of a very modern quilt. It's called Inlaid Tiles, and it was pieced and quilted by my sister, Corky Wachtel.
One of my favorite people.
Who lives on the lake in Arley. And this is called Inlaid Tile, and the inspiration for this comes from the floor of a bathroom at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. So she loves to have a lot of color contrast, and she loves to work with vintage fabrics.
I did not
know. So she's
know
an excellent quilter. So
Corky could do this.
I like having two major types of quilting. In fact, some people like to piece, means sewing the pieces together. But Corky does all of it. She pieces and she also quilts using her sewing machine to do the quilting. But that's relatively new because in this area for hundreds of years, women, of course, quilted and pieced and quilted by hand. Now, Teresa Snoddy, who's been in the Arts Council from the beginning, she is an artist who taught at Double Springs, Winston County High School, and she and JD live in Double Springs. This is an excellent I love this because this is called the old corn crib. It's still standing, and this is in North Carolina, but it's her great-great-great-great-grandfather at his home where they stored corn.
I have seen some similar in Winston County.
That would be a good example of how artists have moved to the lake. A number of them that I've been telling you about have all moved here. They haven't been here long, but Susan Ripp is one of the finest ones. Now, Susan had a career at Spain High School in Birmingham, and she was the head of the art department there, retired to the lake, and wanted to keep teaching. So she has a class of watercolor students. This is Susan's work in the middle, and 4 of her students surrounding. So some of these students said, "You will never teach me to paint. I can't do it. Watercolor's not easy." Down this hallway, we have our high school art.
Okay.
But this is,
Oh, so this
yes,
one's
and this is a first place winner, and this one's a first place winner. So
Oh,
these are from-
Larry, on top.
Okay, the top is painted with oils by Olivia Martinez from Double Springs, Winston County High School. We call that Snowy Mountain, and Rhonda Glenn was her teacher. We just saw Rhonda's work, and Rhonda has 4 or 5 pieces here, but these are 2 other of her students. Olivia's won a first prize in a contest. This is a second prize winner. You can see they're both mountain scenes, but this is Gracie Garrison from Winston County High School, and this one is by Hayden Hodge, and he likes to call this Black Forest. It glows almost. You know? So those students are lucky enough to have Mrs. Glenn and learning oils. This one is called Sunny Lake by Gracie Garrison from Winston County High School.
And it won a
second
second prize.
at Alabama Junior Beta Club.
Oh, I don't think I had it up there.
And Olivia the same one?
Yeah.
Gracie won second place for the Alabama Junior Beta Club. Beta Club is like an honor society, of course, of high schools. And Olivia Martinez won a first place award several years ago on this one. So, and this is also an award winner, Hayden Hodge.
Well, our hats are off to Rhonda Glenn.
This is Meek High School's wall. And I love these because these students have mostly had drama and music this year, because we do switch our art around depending on what teacher we hire and what their skills are. So
the whole wall is Meek High School.
the Meek High School section. We have an example of photography, watercolor, crayon, acrylics, and the topics are all different. The students had a choice of what they were going to do. So this girl is a musician. We finally have a cello player in ARLEY and in the high school orchestra. And Samika loves to paint with watercolor. And you can see how she ties in music with her art. It's very clever. Now,
It was.
this young woman, this is from Lynn High School. And this young woman, Allison Moat, has already graduated from Lynn High School and has gone on to study art at an art institute. This is just a tiny example of her work, but we had one at Lona Currington came and taught the students how to use bamboo brushes with ink and airbrushing techniques to make an oriental scene. So thank you, Lona, for exposing the students to that. Now, on this section, this is Haleyville High School. Now, Haleyville High School has long had their own art teacher, Claire Frazier, and Claire is a genius at teaching block printing. So what she has done is shown her students how to make multiple colored block prints, or she calls it relief printing, and this is an example from Teresa Snoddy of how wood or linoleum is carved, and then when ink is rolled across the top and a piece of paper put on top and pressed with a batten, then it makes a relief that you can make unlimited copies of. This is the way books were made before the printing press, one page at a time. So this is the high school wall, so if you come to visit the museum, don't forget this section. And in the foyer, we have two other beautiful quilts. And there's one I want to show you over here. This is by Diane Allison's grandmother, and Diane Allison is interesting in that she and her mother and her daughter teach what we call home ec. It has a different name, Family Consumer Science. But I love having this up because it's a king-size cross-stitch quilt, Tree of Life. And it took
Gosh.
hours. But this is an example now of a newer quilt, so I like them together to contrast the new with the old. So if you wanted, this was, when I saw this at Art at the Park, I said, we have to have this. But see, this woman also machine quilts. Very simple, but
Christine Williamson.
Christine Williamson lives on Clear Creek, just on the border of Winston and Walker County, but she exhibited this at Art in the Park, and actually this is what she uses on her bed. And I asked her, could we have your bed quilt for display? And she very kindly said, let me think about it. And then she agreed. And I love the way it looks on this blue wall, but look at the vibrancy of the colors, showing that if you know what you're doing, you can mix all different sizes of prints and colors and have this beautiful effect. Again, this is machine stitched. And the back ties in with the front, but she's got lots of spiral shapes when her machine quilting, and it's beautifully done.
Oh, it is beautiful. Christine Williamson.